So the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, just won the Super Bowl a few months ago, and we all know how hard it is for teams to go back-to-back. They have a shorter offseason. Due to some financial issues, they have lost a few key defensive players, but I haven't really made much Eagles content this offseason, so as we approach the start of training camp that is coming up very, very quickly, I want to talk about what the Eagles do have, because I thought they killed the draft and free agency. I don't expect this team to take any sort of dip, so I want to kind of talk about what the Eagles front office has been up to. I want to talk about the personnel and just what news is going on with the team right now. But first, before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 60,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Let's first off talk about all the players the Eagles lost over the last few months since winning the Super Bowl. I'm just going to kind of go on a whim and list them all. The first is Milton Williams, who signed a $104 million contract with the New England Patriots. They lost Josh Sweat, who signed with the Arizona Cardinals. They lost Darius Slay to the Steelers. They lost Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikings. Oren Burks went to the Bengals. Maddox went to the Lions. And then offensively, they lost Mekhi Becton to the Chargers. Kenneth Gainwell to the Steelers. Paris Campbell, he went to the Cowboys. And then Fred Johnson to the Jags. And Kobe to the Rams. And there were a few other guys that got released as well, but those were just some of like the big highlighted names. But with all those departures, there were also some big additions, whether it was through free agency or a trade or the draft, that I am super excited about and want to talk about. And the first would be Azeez Ojulari, who signed on a $4 million deal from the Giants. The next player they signed was Joshua Uche, a linebacker, who signed a 1-year, $1.9 million deal from the Patriots, and then last year he was on the Chiefs. The 27-year-old had 11.5 sacks in 2022, but he's kind of struggled with consistency since then and even got benched last year. The next player they signed is a corner by the name of Adoree Jackson. He signed a 1-year, $1.7 million deal from the New York Giants. And this is an 8-year veteran who's being brought in to kind of add experience to the secondary that is still young, even though they're super dominant already. The next player brought in is a tight end by the name of Harrison Bryant. He signed a 1-year, $1.2 million deal from the Raiders. I'm personally a Browns fan, and he started his career there. He's got potential. He's solid. He can have good games, but overall, he's not a tight end that you want to rely upon, but I don't think the Eagles are bringing him in for that reason. He has 98 career catches for 877 yards with 10 touchdowns. So again, he's just a guy who, for maybe 1 or 2 games throughout the season, will step in and make some plays. But overall, I think he's an okay player. But he wasn't the only tight end they brought in, because they also brought in Kylan Granson, who signed a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. He's from the Colts, and he's also 27 years old and has compiled 86 catches for 958 yards over 4 seasons. So similar stat line to Bryant. They're kind of similar players, honestly, but it's better to have 2 than only 1. The next player the Eagles brought in is one that most of you guys probably do and should know about, and that is running back A.J. Dillon, who really made a name for himself as the backup to Aaron Jones. And then, of course, last year he had more of an opportunity. He signed a 1-year, $1.3 million deal, and he's only 27. He did miss the entire 2024 season with a neck injury, so who knows how he's going to come back. But overall, he's a solid and consistent player. I like this signing because he's not asked to be the number 1 guy. Obviously, at Saquon Barkley, he might not even be 2. You can argue that he'll be in the 3 spot, but overall, solid player to bring in. No complaints there. Let me know what you guys think about this signing in the comments below. The Eagles also brought in Charlie Hewlett, a long snapper, who was signed to a 1-year, $1.4 million deal. He, of course, is from the Cleveland Browns, and he's 35 years old, so definitely a veteran, and he's going to be replacing Rick Lovato after 10 seasons with the Browns. And as a Browns fan, I don't know how you stay on that team for 10 years, man. This is a dude that's been through it all. That's actually crazy. I don't even know that I knew that he played for that long. That's nuts. Anyways, the next player the Eagles brought in is Avery Williams. He's a running back / kick returner. He can kind of do it all. He signed a 1-year, $1.2 million deal from the Atlanta Falcons, and he's 31 years old, so he's still got a little bit of juice left in him, and he kind of serves primarily as a return specialist, so it's going to be interesting to see what his role ends up being. The next signing was on the offensive line, where the Eagles picked up Kendall Lamb, who signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. He previously was a backup for the Miami Dolphins, and he's 33 years old. He can be a swing tackle. He can kind of line up in multiple areas, so it's a good depth piece overall, but he kind of has a crazy story. You'll have to look it up. It's interesting. Sticking with the offensive line, the Eagles signed Matt Pryor, a guard from the Chicago Bears. They signed him to a 1-year, $1.3 million deal. He's 31 years old, and he returns to Philly, where he was originally drafted, so his old stomping grounds, he has some familiarity. It's going to be an interesting piece to add to the O-line. And then the final signing I want to talk about is Terrace Marshall Jr., a wide receiver that signed a 1-year, $1.2 million deal from the Raiders. He's 25 years old, and he's going to mainly be used as a depth piece, just kind of to sit back there in case something goes wrong, but he still has some potential. Let's take a look at his numbers. So in 2024, he only played in 7 games and only had 6 total targets and had 3 receptions for 41 yards, but he did have 13.7 yards per catch in that little span that he was on the field for. So I guess it's not terrible. It's just he wasn't used at all. So nobody really knows exactly what he's going to bring to this team, but I don't expect him to really be on the field, especially with what the Eagles have, unless there was like a catastrophic injury or something. But overall, I mean, it was just a why not type of pickup. And then for the re-signings, we had Zach Bond, Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, and then Ben Van Sumeren. And then for the draft, this is what I'm most excited and intrigued about for the Eagles, because I thought they made some amazing high upside picks. In round 1, they selected Jihaad Cambell, a linebacker, Alabama. They took him with the 31st overall selection, obviously, and he's a versatile linebacker from a nearby area in New Jersey. He led Alabama with 117 tackles and had 5 sacks in 2024. In round 2, they selected Andrew Makuba, a safety out of Texas. He was taken at pick number 64, and he had 69 tackles and 5 interceptions in 2024. And then in round 4, they took Ty Robinson, a guy I'm super intrigued in. He's a defensive tackle from Nebraska. He ended up choosing Nebraska over Alabama and Oregon, which was just such an interesting decision. He was picked number 111, and he's 6'5", he's 288 pounds, just a massive human being, but he's not that massive to where he's like fat and can't move around. He has elite athleticism amongst his peers, and he ran a 4.83 40-yard dash. In round 5, they selected Mac McWilliams, a corner from UFC, and then they selected Munden Jr., Drew Kendall, Kyle McCord, Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams, and then Powell Ryland. So overall, solid draft. Obviously, those round 5 and 6 guys, you're probably not going to see them on the field. Kyle McCord's an interesting name because he was on the Buckeyes and then Syracuse, but there's not too much to take away from that. But that's a lot of firepower overall being added to the squad, both through the draft and in free agency. And the reason why I titled the video the way I did is because on paper, I think this team really got better. They already have the Super Bowl experience, so losing some of the vets was not the biggest deal. The front office brought in a mix of young players as well as guys with experience, but I think the young ones with all the energy are really going to be the biggest X factors for 2025. The first player I really want to break down is the Jihaad Cambell pick out of Alabama. This is a guy that has elite athleticism, solid sideline to sideline speed, and he's good in both man and zone, and he can take on multiple positions without giving up a major disadvantage. He's also really good with communication for how young he is and seeing things as they happen, very high IQ. I also think he's got blitzing potential, and then overall he can tackle with the best in his class. He had a very low missed tackle rate. I thought he was an absolute steal of a pick for where he fell to, especially when you consider what is already on this defense. With the following pick, as I kind of talked about, the Eagles went defense again, taking Andrew Makuba out of Texas. In 2024 for the Longhorns, he had 69 tackles and 5 interceptions. He also had 7 pass breakups in 15 games. And then really the game where it was like, whoa, this dude is a Sunday guy, is the SEC Championship, where he had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble. Here's the official write-up on what he is as a player. Makuba is viewed as a high upside, coverage first safety who can thrive in sub packages and zone heavy schemes. His range, ball skills, and playmaking instincts makes him an immediate contributor in passing situations with the potential to develop into a full-time starter as he adds strength and experience. So another really high upside pick for the Eagles that can make an immediate impact if his name is called upon. In the 4th round, the Eagles took Ty Robinson, a defensive tackle out of Nebraska, and he's an interesting player. I know usually once you get to the 4th round, you're getting into the spot where there's a high chance some of the picks will never see the field, especially in year 1 and 2, but sometimes the opposite is true as well. We've seen some late round guys play key roles many times before. He started in 47 games over 5 seasons, and those Big Ten teams like Nebraska are just O&D line producing machines. He was recognized as a 4-star recruit out of high school and chose Nebraska over offers from major programs like Alabama and Oregon, which was definitely an interesting decision as I kind of talked about. But this is a massive human being, standing at 6'5" and 288 pounds, and because his weight is pretty low, he has better athleticism than almost all his peers. This is a guy that can line up almost anywhere on the defensive front. He's strong at the point of attack, and he had a career best 7 sacks in 2024. Beyond the draft, though, I think the Eagles improved so much in free agency. Again, I feel like because of how professional sports works these days with salary, those mid-tier guys are always interchanging on new deals between a bunch of teams and stuff like that. But the front office pretty much addressed everything there was to address. The NFL needs to watch out because the Eagles are coming again. They want to go back-to-back. And even though there is going to be a target on their back all season long, I think they have everything they need to succeed. That's really all I have to say for this video, though. Let me know what your expectations are for the Eagles in 2025. Are they going to repeat? Are they going to take any dip? I know they have a tough schedule, but overall, I don't see any dip in production coming from them because they have the same exact players. They got Saquon, they got Hurts, they added to the defense through the draft. It's a solid all-around squad, so much depth. It's going to be exciting to watch, and I just can't wait for football, man. I'm fiending to watch a football game right now, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. The offseason is just brutal. I know training camp's coming up, and that's going to be huge because finally there's going to be something to pay attention to. It's just dead right now. But yeah, man, that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much for all your support. Let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.